Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am Julian, and my work has been in road safety for a long time. My background is from in road and traffic engineering. So my objective is to enhance the well-being of everyone. And I think it is the same for urban designers, landscape designers, and planners. And we all work for the well-being of people. But sometimes there has been a lot of disagreement between engineers and urban designers or landscape designers on what should be done for road safety. Often we are seen to be doing too much, especially imposing a lot of restrictions on pedestrians and cyclists in the name of road safety. Today I'm going to try to discuss with you on some topics of how we can reconcile among ourselves, how we can make roads safer as well as more pretty, more picturesque, and more attractive, more vibrant. Well, irrespective of how our roads are attractive, accessible, vibrant, we have to face the reality that we have a lot of road casualties. In Hong Kong, in the past 10 years, we have more than 600 pedestrian fatalities. And there is also a trend that the percentage of the killed pedestrian consists of an increasing percentage of the elderly. Last year, we have 83% of the pedestrian fatalities coming to the elderly of more than 60 in age. So at the same time, we are promoting our elderly to go more to our street, to walk and to take public transport. But at the same time, our streets, our road systems is not good enough to guarantee that they are safe, that they can return home. It is true that the road casualty pictures have been improving. In the early 80s, we have almost one pedestrian killed every day. Well, nowadays, the number of fatalities for pedestrians has dropped to about 54 per year. But that doesn't mean that we should be satisfied with this figure. We always look for 0 fatalities and serious injuries. And I think this is the trend throughout the world, even though it is very difficult. But I think that should be our ultimate aim. The modern approach to road safety is actually what we call the safe system approach. In Hong Kong, unfortunately, we have not really adopted this type of approach, which has been advocated by the United Nations and has been seriously conceived in many countries, including Sweden, Australia, okay, Norway, and even I think in the United Kingdom, that we are looking at our road system as a system. We are looking to safer roads, safer speeds, as well as safer vehicles and safer users, with the ultimate aim that we will not have a single fatality or serious injuries. And the main difference between our current approach is that transport system must accommodate foreseeable mistakes. I think we have not gone that far, particularly that in Hong Kong we tend to blame the victims. We tend to blame road users. And also that an important point for the safe system approach is that the tolerance of the human body, which we cannot easily change, is fundamental in the design of our roads, our streets, our vehicles. Under the safe system approach, I mean, we look at the road design and street designs from 3 perspectives. We try to promote road safety. The first one is exposure. It is always necessary to reduce exposure, particularly where there are a large number of vehicles and at the same time large number of pedestrians or cyclists. And unfortunately, sometimes we go too far. In trying to reduce exposure, we introduce footbridges or subways where they should not be provided, to the extent that we are causing unbearable inconvenience to the users. And sometimes we think that we put more barriers or railings and to guide pedestrians. Sometimes they are not really the solution. But there are two other possibilities. One we call the self-explaining road design. The other we call the forgiving design. To some extent, we have adopted this kind of thinking, but not too systematically up to now in our road design practices. Therefore, we have been trying to promote these two concepts, how to make our roads even more self-explaining. That means the roads and streets should be intrinsically clear to the road users, particularly drivers, of what speeds or behavior they should adopt. But on the other hand, we know that collisions are often inevitable, no matter how well your road systems are. Therefore, the system must also be forgiving. That means at least the road user should not die or permanently seriously injured in a collision. In this respect, I would like to just explain that an important concept is that any roads or streets should be shaped in a way that naturally the driver or user will know what behavior or what speed they should adopt. And in Hong Kong, our design standards sometimes have been too much inclined to the favor of the drivers. And sometimes to the extent that drivers do not know clearly what speeds or what behavior they should really adopt. And in this respect, I would say that urban designers or landscape designers can have a lot to contribute in the future of how we can design roads which can accord with our preferred driving behavior, and to have a very strong character for different types of roads. So motorways, highways, they should have their own character, but urban streets, the character should be distinctly different. And I always think that landscaping is a good partner for road safety, but only if the principles are well understood. And landscaping can help road safety in a number of ways. And one we call the promotion of awareness. Well, awareness of intersections, awareness of pedestrians, etc. And then the other, of course, design of attractive facilities, well, rest areas, and also the landscaping to calm down the users. And the other one is to provide or limit visibility. Often we think that the more visibility we provide, the better. But that is not true. In road safety, sometimes we want to really limit the visibility so that drivers will not be distracted from the surroundings. And then forgiving roadside, which I'm also going to explain. I would like to use this roundabout as an example of how we can design self-explaining roads and which is at the same time forgiving. We like trees, of course. I think we all like trees. It is good to have a boulevard with trees all along, but at the same time, we know that on highways, trees can be really dangerous in the rural areas if a vehicle collides onto a tree at high speed. And now we have a roundabout. So how should we design this roundabout? As you can see, there are some shrubs, very simple. But this shrub in the middle of the roundabout, in fact, is very important for road safety. There are two reasons. One, for this type of roads, we need to limit the visibility in the forward direction because drivers can be easily guided by the rows of trees that the road will go straight. So the trees actually limits the visibility and also to serve as a symbol. I mean, to tell drivers that now you are coming to a junction. But at the same time, we need to worry about if a driver does collide into the middle of the roundabout, So we put shrubs. We do not put trees or any hard landscaping. So the central island is also forgiving. I have been asked from time to time by landscape designer whether they can put landscape hardware or trees in the middle of the roundabout. Well, the answer is yes or no. As you can see, this roundabout, this is in Europe, so driving on the right. In case a driver loses control and collide onto the roundabout, the design of the landscape planting is that the trees are shifted to the left side so that they do not lie on the trajectory of a potential out-of-control vehicles. And also the hard landscaping is on the other side. Well, therefore, I think the landscape design is consistent with road safety objective. I never discourage landscape designers to put trees or to put attractive landscape features in the middle of a roundabout. And I think it's good because that gives places and towns an identity, and also to help drivers to identify that they are entering a roundabout or a junction. But sometimes they would like to do more. I mean, more attractive landscaping with stones and big trees, whatever. I think that is fine, so long the traffic speed has been reduced and we can guarantee that the traffic speed is relatively low, say less than 40 kilometers per hour. And you can do anything. So long the periphery remains to be clear for the vehicles circulating around the roundabout to have certain visibility. So in terms of road safety, really, we do not have any conflicts with good landscape or architectural design, provided that the principles are well understood. And sometimes for major highways, actually, landscape design should be integrated with the road design. Well, we want drivers to occasionally see major landscape features so that they know where they are. Otherwise, they can easily get lost on a monotonous motorway. Signs. In Hong Kong, we have a lot of signs, all kinds of traffic signs for loading and unloading, warning signs, a lot of markings on the streets, a lot of signs telling you what to do and what not to do. Well, that is not what the real road safety designers would like. Actually, in road safety, we look for limited signs always. For warning signs, we put them only where they are necessary, and also where we know that there will be a real effect on drivers' behavior. So for the very limited number of signs we would advocate, we also want them to be pretty. We want aesthetically pleasing signs in terms of the sign graphics, in terms of the mounting. So especially that these signs, they are very prominent in the city center. If we have back signs, as in Hong Kong, as we see always in the city, then they can have a major effect on the aesthetics and on the urban design. And also outside the city, we can also have very good signs. They should not be, actually, I think engineers may not be the very good one to do these signs. And I know one of my friends has been an expert designing good signs, I mean, with graphics. So I think the problem, as we see, is that sign is not a problem. First, we need to limit the number of them to bare minimum, which are necessary. The other is that we really should look into better sign aesthetics. Railings is one of the most discussed topics. From my point of view, I am neutral. I won't say that railings are completely useless or we should not put any railings. I think the fundamental point is that we put railings where they are really useful and necessary. Railings have some undesirable effects. Actually, many engineers or designers, they are not aware of. One is on visibility. As you can see, the left, railings plus planting. So plantings is for landscape reasons. I mean, on a bend, on the approach to a pedestrian crossing. So certainly that is not right. On the other hand, I have also seen railings in architectural projects which are far too heavy. And often they reduce visibility to critical points. That means junctions and crossings in a very unfavorable way. Another problem is that, which has been identified recently in the United Kingdom, is that railings causes drivers to have tunnel vision. That means they become less aware of what is going on the roadside. So they drive faster, and they do not expect that occasionally they have an opening. So through the opening, a cyclist or a pedestrian might just pop up, and as they go, has been driving too fast, and they are unable to stop their vehicles. So we always need to be aware of the two potential problems with railings and barriers, and also any planters, which has a linear characteristics. One is tunnel vision, the other is visibility. But on the other hand, if you ask me, the removal of railings here is appropriate. I doubt. The problem is that if we remove the railings without concurrently adopting a good self-explaining road design, that means drivers are well aware of the presence of crossings and the type of behavior of speeds they should adopt, then you are going to invite problems as well. In this situation, the alignment of this type of distributed road is very smooth, quite strict, and the road width, well, normal ones. You don't have railings, okay, there are plants, but then you have a hole. It's like a hole in the middle. So removal of railings here has to be accompanied by corresponding measures. That means the crossing has to be very conspicuous, and you need to guarantee that traffic speed is not too high, probably 40 kilometers per hour at most. One problem I have discovered in the many road safety audits I have conducted in the past few years is that we often face a problem that developments, public transport, meaning MTR station, bus stops, and crossings often are not coordinated. And the problems often is already embedded in outline development plans, sometimes even in outline zoning plans. Well, that means that the pedestrians always want to take a strict line. If you have this situation, pedestrian coming off the MTR station or from the bus stop, they would take advantage of any gaps in the road. Okay, we don't want railings, but at the same time, we also have gaps, or they can cross through the roads without railings. So we are coming up with a very dangerous situation. So how to coordinate pedestrian crossings better with bus stops, developments, and MTR stations have always been a major focus in the road safety audit I have been conducting for urban streets and roads. As you can see, that is another example. We have a major green corridor. So that is part of the major development. So it's good, it's a park. Well, we encourage pedestrians to go through a park instead of walking along the road. That's good. But then we have a bus terminus on the other side. We have a footbridge. Of course, the pedestrians, nobody would like to climb up the footbridge and then to descend again to go to the bus terminus because the road is not that wide. And we found that there have been a cluster of pedestrian collisions. I mean, that is obvious. So the mismatch of pedestrian routes, crossings, is a major problem we have to face in any developments in urban areas. Another topic I would like to talk about is very important. It's about speed. In Hong Kong, traffic speed is not low. We have a blanket 50 kilometers per hour speed limit, but really whether 50 kilometers per hour is correct depends on context. On many occasions, drivers can speed up on urban roads, even on Nathan Road when the traffic is light to 60 kilometers, or sometimes even 70 kilometers per hour or beyond. But as you can see, our human body, you cannot change. It is very easy for someone to get killed or permanently disabled, permanent disability at any speed beyond 40 kilometers per hour. But at the same time, we are facing a problem that traffic speed in reality is much higher. So that explains why we still have so many fatalities, even with many crossings installed, signalization, particularly for the elderly. I mean, frailty is the problem. They cannot walk very fast. So many of our main streets continue to constitute a problem. In one study I conducted on 4,000 pedestrian casualties in 1 year in Hong Kong, I found that the problem with pedestrian casualties, actually they are not only related to main roads and main streets. Actually, local streets are also important. So they have more or less 50% share. Therefore, the modern concept actually is that we cannot only look at traffic, we have to look at the place function. I think many of you may have seen this type of graphs. That means that it is actually incorrect to apply a 50 kilometers per hour speed limit in a blanket way for any types of roads. I mean, that depends on context. For the more major roads where we still have a lot of pedestrians, the best balance could be somewhere in the order of 40 kilometers per hour. But where you have a lot of pedestrians and in residential areas, of course, we need to reduce the speed to 30 or even below. So what is the relationship between lower speed limit and urban design or landscape design? 30 kilometers per hour is not just a number. We are not just putting a sign and that's all. The main implication is that lower speed limit means lower design speed in our design menu, and the implication is that there is less demand on geometry. We do not need very smooth geometry and very large turning radius at junctions. Also, we have less risk of collisions, less risk of loss of control. Braking distance can be substantially reduced. And the implication is that for urban designers, landscape designers, architects, there will be much more liberty in the design of streetscape. It is far more compatible with human scale layouts. There are far more possibilities for putting plants, and you don't need to put up barriers, safety barriers. There will be more space for amenities, and there will be less, you can use far less signs and markings, and of course, railings as well. So that is the main implications that why we have been advocating lower speed limit, that is 30 kilometers per hour since 2011. That is not only good for road safety, for reducing road casualties, but it will also be significant for designers to liberate all the possibility to have good streetscape design, to have good and enjoyable, attractive, vibrant streets. And so I hope that you will appreciate that. And this morning, Transport Department said that they have been introducing 30 kilometers per hour speed limit on a number of streets. But from my point of perspective, I think that is not enough. What we are looking to is far more. We are looking to whole areas to have lower speed limit. There's no doubt that some of the minor streets for 30 kilometers per hour, Lockhart Road, Jeffers Street, Johnston Road, and even Queens Road East. That should not be a problem for drivers because you will not be on those roads forever. For long distance drivers, normally they will use the streets to access the major highways, which they can drive at a much higher speed. Another example is that at a more local scale, say at Stanley, we have been advocating to have another 30 kilometers per hour zone covering the road along the beach and also some of the residential streets as well as the section of Stanley Village Road in the middle area where you have a lot of pedestrian activities. There's another example which we have been advocating is for Sai Kung Town. So Sai Kung is a very popular area for tourists, for local tourists, for anyone going to enjoy seafood or going to the country parks or Geo Park. What we advocate is that not only the smaller streets in Sai Kung should be subject to 30 kilometers per hour speed limit, and also a section of the main road. I think that is really important because the main road is part of the town center. But of course, in Hong Kong at the moment, we have not reached that stage that there is good consensus, especially among the traffic community and also in government. But this is something what we should go for. I always believe it that someday we should achieve that. And as for new development areas, that is a different story, but again, the same principle can be applied. Right from the beginning in the outline zoning plan, already there should be the concept of low-speed zone introduced into the new road network. I mean, that is what I think should be done. So I hope that my presentation has given you some inspiration, and I hope that in future, urban designers, landscape designers, and architects can work better, I mean, with us as road safety engineers, and to have more dialogue so that we can design roads together in a better way for the well-being of the society. Thank you.